the amount of energy and time that it takes to get ready for a conference is a lot, and it's almost like you're preparing for a marathon. So when it comes to conferences, which I absolutely love, I'm really driven by them. I love all the interaction with different service providers in the staffing world, getting a chance to meet different staffing owners. I mean, I just can't get enough of it. But the reality of it is, you got to really pace yourself. You have to make sure you get enough sleep and really plan it out right, because to do a conference right, you got to be up early, man. You got to get here before the networking events starts, and get your brain screwed on tight and ready for the day. I mean, Greg, what do you think about all this when it comes to conferences and your preparation process?
I love it. I think so far what I've been really enjoying is talking with all the different technologies and staffing. And I think a big theme of this has been tech, as it has been the last couple of years, but it's just getting even more and more so. And so just understanding how time and attendance and billing and payroll and funding and all of these things can seamlessly work with one another. And I think that's a big focus of mine this conference has really been to trying to figure that out. How can we really make that easy for staffing companies as they need to keep growing. I mean, the market's tough and they need to be putting their resources into those things instead of spending a bunch of time logging into 25 different systems. And so
absolutely,
I think that's really been a focus of mine this conference.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I think we do have different approaches. I mean, Larry's full on all the time, and it's great. I love your energy, and I think it's infectious. And you can tell people walk by Larry and they enjoy. They're like, "Hey, Larry, how's it going?" And there's hugs and handshakes and stuff. It's great. It's really awesome. So I learn a lot from him that way. I think I am probably more reserved. Try to have more focus on those in-depth conversations, having less of them, but maybe just really trying to dive deep and make those connections that we can continue to build after. And so that's been more my focus. But I think that I learn a lot from Larry at the conferences for sure.
I'm learning from you every day, Greg. But yeah, no, I mean, look, the reality of it is we only have a very short amount of time. I mean, 3 days is a short time to get a lot done. And so when I come to these events, the mission is, how many new friends and relationships can I build? Not so much with the intention of garnering their business, but just building those relationships and those bridges. Because what I've really found is that with the conferences especially, it's a long play. So for anyone that's watching this right now on the sidelines, that's in the staffing world, that's a service provider, and maybe they're a one-hit wonder, they're coming to one conference here, and then a year goes by and they go to another one. That's really not the way to play it. You really have to be consistent. And what I found, this is my 3rd year in at going to several different conferences, and the more you go, the more people start to recognize you, the more trust and brand awareness that you build for your company, and it's just a lot of fun. I just love meeting people, and what better place to do it than at a conference like this, the SIA Executive Forum.
I feel like the business isn't done here at the booth. It's hey, and you have a quick conversation, 30 seconds, 5 minutes, and get a feel for each other, understand, hey, is there some alignment here? And then it's next week, or it's for dinner later, or it's, at a cocktail later, something like that. So I feel like it's just kind of the breeding ground here, and then it really grows once you kind of move out of this format.
Well, I mean, I agree with everything that Greg said, except for the fact this has been kind of a unique conference for us. We've had several professionals come up and chat with us and say, hey, we're actually in the market for your services and looking. So, I mean, that happens sometimes too. I had a wonderful conversation with a gentleman at our lunch break today, just answering questions, not even really thinking about acquiring a new business, a new partner or a new client, and out of the blue, just me answering questions and making a new friend. He goes, one of the main things we wanted to do when we came to this conference is find a funding partner, and I think I found him. So I was like, oh, okay. But and the idea is, my philosophy is just come, have a good time, generally try to interact and connect with as many people as possible, and they realize what I do as a service, and if they're interested, they'll let me know. But it's really more about just making friends, building rapport, building trust. And now we're doing all these live video events at the conferences. I've been having a lot of different people going, what are you guys up to over there? What are you doing? So maybe we'll have some of some of the other vendors next year doing the same thing we're doing. I've been privileged to be connected and working with Meritus Capital for going on 18 years. And I think my evolutionary process over the years has just been growing and maturing as an individual, a lot more confidence in myself and the product that we have to offer our clients. And I don't know, I feel like I'm always evolving, I'm always learning. And now with so much new tech that's coming on board, AI, I mean, things are just changing so rapidly that I almost feel like I'm a newbie in a certain sense again, just trying to figure out where things are going and how I can be abreast of all the changes that are happening. So the more informed I am, the more value I can give to my potential client. So it's like there's always something new to learn, always on my toes.
Yeah, I've appreciated. I think that the brand is just getting more awareness, and I think before we were very focused on these one-to-one relationships, which we still are very much focused on that. But I think there's just more awareness of us in general. I like somebody, walk out of an elevator and like, hey, Greg, and I didn't recognize him at first, but I think there's that awareness now more so than in the past, and so it's good. Yeah,
that's very good. Yeah, I have to say I've been pretty pleasantly surprised because, we invested a lot of time and energy into sharing our message with the LinkedIn community. And so, sometimes you wonder how effective it's going to be. And there's nothing better when you have someone you don't know come up and say, hey, Larry, I've been watching your LinkedIn videos. You're doing a good job. Keep it up. So that social proof and encouragement is just so heartwarming. I really appreciate it. And I just love that we're doing this.
If somebody just knew was coming in and wanted to start their own business, I think that definitely you got to use technology to simplify the business, not have a ton of overhead. I mean, it's very competitive with the market in staffing, how it's been the last couple of years. The keynote this morning was talking about that. It's been a rough couple of years for the staffing industry. And so you have to have some type of competitive edge, either relationships out there that are faithful to you or something that can make you, have that competitive advantage. And so you can't have a bunch of overhead and burden and everything like that. Like you really have to make sure your systems are in place, that things are efficient, and that you can really be a partner for your clients. And so I think really focusing on those key relationships to build the company in an efficient way is super important.
100%. I mean, he really said it all. I mean, any startup that's emerging into a new market, this obviously we're talking about the staffing world, and it's pretty easy to start a staffing company. I mean, you got to have a good computer and a cell phone and have some people skills, but you have to have the right tech stack in place, and you definitely have to have the right funding partner in place, because in order to be competitive in the staffing world, you have to be able to extend terms to your customers to be competitive in the marketplace. And most startups don't have the bandwidth and able to do that. So it can be very painful to try to get their business off the ground versus the staffing owner that got the right tech stack, got the right funding partner, they won those contracts and they hit the ground running and just had that exponential growth, which is very possible in this industry. So it's all about proper planning and execution.
That's the goal, is that we want people that are getting into the staff, we want to make it as easy as possible for them. And so that's a lot of this conference, is building relationships with different technologies, with different service providers, so that we can make it as seamless and as easy and frictionless as possible, so they can focus on selling and recruiting and the things that they do best and not worry about all the back office stuff without kind of selling their soul to somebody that owns all of the back office on their behalf. And they are kind of feel like a salesperson for another person's business. So we want them to keep control, but have the ability to make it as simple as possible, where they're not using up all their time on administrative functions. And so that's the goal, and that's really a big push that I have at this conference, is to make those partnerships, make those connections, and help bring it all together.
Yeah, and a lot of that's stemming from just listening to our audience, right? So our customers ask us all the time, what else can you offer us besides a great funding solution? And so we realize there's a need in the market for a really good tech stack. It's a good process that's going to allow them to grow and thrive in their marketplace. And if you don't have the technology behind that to make it happen, then it's going to be in a massive struggle, because things are changing so fast. I mean, the reality of it is, what we see here today on the floor, we could come here next year and it's like 10x in the tech, especially with AI. It's changing so fast that it's almost hard to keep up, honestly.
I would say the ones that come to my mind as far as people I always appreciate helping is I see a lot of startups where they just couldn't get off the ground if they didn't have a financing partner, but they have relationships and they can go build a company, and so they start it, and then with our financing and their ability to scale and their relationships they have, they can go from 0 to 400,000 a month or hundreds of employees like really quick. And so it's really cool to enable people that don't necessarily have a bunch of money themselves to go and do this, to enable them to just grow a business that is helping them and their families, and it's really cool that way. Also, I think just helping companies that are in a tough spot with their current financing company, whatever it may be, with holding back a lot of reserves, or a low advance rate, or helping them consolidate secondary debt that's not working for them. Like, just being strategic with these challenges that come up with real staffing companies in the real world. It's not always just easy, and so they're coming across tax challenges, or it's hard to meet all their obligations. And so when we can come in, consolidate those problems, help them get some extra cash, be able to fix those issues, and really move forward and grow, I think that's very gratifying to see.
I mean, you nailed it. Everything you said, I resonate with. The one thing, and I know you're going to relate to this too, because you've had it happen many times, which is the company that's like, listen, I'm in trouble. I need funding next week, or I'm not going to make payroll. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we've been the parachute to save the company from, I mean, the minute you're not paying your people, you pretty much are going to be closing your doors because they're looking for work. So that we've had lots of experiences where we've been able to do that for companies and save them from having to fold or not being able to pay their people, and that's very gratifying because, I mean, you get to see the relief on the owner's face as it funds, and he continues to grow and thrive. So, I love those scenarios. And of course, what Greg talked about was startups that there's just no way that they would ever get off the ground if they didn't have a funding partner behind them like us to help bolster their cash flow reserves, so they're able to manage the trajectory that they're taking off with their business. Well, I mean, I've always been in sales, and I love people. So if I wasn't at Meritus Capital, I'd be doing something in some type of a consultative capacity, helping people solve some type of a problem. I mean, that's always been a passion of mine, is caring about people, figuring out what problem they have, and then finding a solution to help them through it. So I would be doing something in that form or fashion. I'm an 80s kid, so I love 80s music. And then, of course, growing up in the 90s, love a lot of, going through the Nirvana and Pearl Jam and Soundgarden stage. But I also listened to Boyz II Men and, other like boy bands, and I was all over the map. I think the only thing I wasn't listening to was gangster rap and country.
Well, if I was out of the funding business, I think from what I've learned in this business, because you kind of get a little bit of everything. You get a little bit of the payroll, the finance, the sales, the marketing. Like you kind of have to know some of all of it and how business functions and negotiation and all these different things. And so I like that we learn all these different aspects of the business, compliance. And so I think what I would love to do if I wasn't doing this is just helping normal companies grow. Like, how does a person that has a window washing business and wants to have 500 reoccurring clients every year and help them do that, or different things like that. So just helping businesses grow is what I would love to do, and that's what I do already. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. But cool. I think if I had to get out of the funding business, it would still be helping businesses grow in some way.
Oh, I already know what that is. I mean, the one thing I have to do before I go home is my daughter has assigned me to go down to the beach, find a couple seashells, and fill a bottle full of white sand. I'll be in a lot of trouble if I don't do that. I already sent them some sunrise pictures that they had to see, so they're vicariously experiencing Miami through Daddy's iPhone right now.
things outside of the conference is have a good meal. I think that's up there. Just have a good meal. That's kind of my one thing. And I would say the other thing is that I'm looking for gifts for my daughters mainly, and especially my 2-year-old. She's taken an interest in like watches, and so I think it'd be really cool to find her a little kid watch to bring home.
Nice.